How's it going, guys? Kevin back at you with another video. Today's video, I want to talk through a little bit about scanning, specifically 3D scanning, how I use it for anything from designing helpful little products throughout the home to the actual product on my truck. So for today, we're going to be checking out something I did for my wife for a charger that I bought her for Christmas. So I'm going to be walking through sort of the basic steps that I did to set it up for scanning. I'll show you guys the actual scanning. I don't have the actual scanning process today, but I'm going to show you what the mesh looks like and then talk you through a little bit about my method for using that mesh to produce an end result product. So with that, let's get into it. So as I've mentioned in my previous videos, whenever you're designing a product, you want to make sure that you have very clear requirements set out so you know exactly what you need to make. So for this, unfortunately, I don't have her phone here to show you, but this is a magnetic mount like a lot of iPhones use, and it holds your phone and then charges it. The downside is if you have a nice bulky case like her and I do on our phones, if you set it here, the phone will fall off. So what I did was basically took her phone, put it in the stand, and then without the case, so that way it would stay there. And then I 3D scanned it because I knew how thick the case would be, so I knew how much farther down I would need to put it, but that would help me to line up the location of the phone. So for this thing, because it's white and I didn't want to throw scanning spray all over it, I just put these dots all around it, and those basically help the scanner do a much better job of tracking. So this is the Einstar 3D Shining 3D scanner. I think it's about $1,000. I'm not sure if it's come down in price at all since I've got it, but it's got lots of cameras and sensors in there, and basically it comes up with this mesh. So now I'm going to jump over to the computer and I'll walk you guys through the mesh and how I use that to design the final product. So this is what I got from looking at the 3D scan. So this is my mesh model. You can see I have the charger plugged in the back of it. Not that it really makes much of a difference, but you can actually see where I placed the dots. So I placed them all over this so that way I could get a general idea of where everything is. And you can see the phone model wasn't perfect. I wasn't going to spray scanning spray all over her phone. But again, the bottom here, just the rough dimensions are what I needed. So 3D scanner is only as good as the person using it. And for my purposes here, I just needed to know and figure out, okay, where does this phone need to sit with the AirPods case underneath? How much clearance do I have so that way I'm not going to interfere with the AirPods case underneath it? And so that is basically the key things that I was looking for. And with this scan, I can get that. And there's various different ways to approach working with a scan. For me, I just try to keep it super simple. So basically what I do is I basically try to slice that scan up and use either lofts or sweeps to match different parts to the product. So what I'm going to do now is just basically show you. So this is essentially the sort of finished model that I came up with. And you can see it basically latches on to the base there. It just slides down because we have a nice angled here, angled rear piece, so it actually makes it nice and easy to slide down. So how did I match this up? Well, essentially what I did, and I'll show you in the analysis here, is basically I just used some sections. So I can basically take a slice of this mesh, I'll go perfectly top down, and then with each of my sketches, so basically some initial sketches, you can see I'm basically sort of matching this out. And now after you do it and you go and adjust it, you can then fine tune it and go off of what the actual final product is saying and what the final 3D print is saying versus these. But you can see I'm basically just cutting these things here. Let me hide this guy so you can see it a little bit better. So I cut it and then I move up. So you can see that was one section down here. So then when we move up, I match another section here. And then for this tool, I just did a very simple loft between the two. So we'll work this back here. I'm gonna hide these things here, show this. So this is basically just a simple loft between the two sketches. So between that sketch and this sketch, and you can see I just kind of matched that front angle. Wasn't too really worried about it being super nice and tight, just that it was gonna be close enough that it will eventually interfere and be the base for it. So continuing that out, then I basically just connected these two pieces, used basically one other loft to basically connect these two, and then just did a little extrude to cut through that. But again, it's super easy to just get the approximate dimensions and figure out, okay, this is approximately where the phone's gonna sit. I figured this is going to lean down a little bit just with the weight of the phone on it. So that's where I just decided, hey, let's just put it right up against the phone, and that should be enough. And then again, with 3D printing nowadays, you can iterate on this very, very quickly and easily. So that's what I definitely recommend you do, especially with something nice and simple. But you can see we've got plenty of clearance between the AirPods case, so that's easy to slide in and out and not going to be an issue. So this was a super fun little project. Used my 3D scanner, got it right basically on the second try with just some minor tweaks, but it helps just accelerate your workflow and just make it a much faster, easy experience. If you're trying to get exact dimensions out of it, there are certainly higher end scanners that can do that, and I'm sure the scanner that I'm using can get very highly accurate dimensions based on some of the testing that I've done. But generally speaking, I don't really need it. One of the most powerful things while you're designing is to just have a really good visual idea of the product or the space or wherever it is that you're designing this thing is going to go. Because if you're missing different parts, for example, if I didn't have the AirPods case when I was designing this, I might design this with a thicker base at the bottom and then realize, oh no, the AirPods don't fit in. But by putting all the pieces in here, it helps me get a really good visual so that I know how to approach this problem and get it right the first time, and then just do minor tweaks to finalize it versus potentially making something that is dead in the water on the first try, and then I have to go completely re-engineer it because I didn't realize, oh, this part was there, or this was here. So that's just another thing to note and sort of how I use 3D scanning. But obviously, depending on what you're doing, it can vary in many different ways. But so with that, I'll jump over, show you the actual finished product here, and then we'll close it out. All right, so here is the finished product, 3D printed out. I printed it just like this, flat as you see it. But as I mentioned, basically just slide that on, push it down, and then it holds in place. Now, I just have my phone here, not my wife's phone, so it's not going to be a perfect fit, but basically just going to drop that on, and you can see how it holds the phone nice in place. Mine, since it's actually smaller, it wouldn't match up for, so this is specific to her phone. I think it's like a 14 or something. But you can see, you can just drop it right on, hold it. I've asked her if she wanted an extra lip here or something like that. She said she actually likes it because it makes it really easy to just pull the phone straight forward and off of it, and then she just drops it on. So super nice and easy. But again, this is just a little project to show you guys how, if you're using scanning, it can help you just accelerate and get that product even more accurate and closer to the final product way faster than if you're just going to try to do this freehand. You could certainly do this with just some calipers and things of that nature, but it really helps to have a scanner so you can just visualize, hey, I'm going to have a part here, I need to make sure I have clearance so that I don't interfere with it. You can obviously take measurements and things of that into the design considerations, but the scanner just really helps you visualize it. And I'm a very visual person, so that really helps me. May or may not help you with your designs, but just something that I thought you guys would be interested in. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to drop a like, comment down below, ask me what kind of things you'd like to see next, and I will catch you guys next time. Have a good one.